Hello everyone, my name is Cricket and I'm going to present my topic, Beyond Words, the Art of Showing. And so what that really means today is we're going to dive into one of the most talked about rules in writing, especially in modern writing, and that's going to be show, don't tell. I am taking this information in my PowerPoint from a book on a book written by Sandra Girth, same title, Show Don't Tell. And we're really going to break down what this principle means and how you can start applying it to your own writing immediately. If you're interested in the book, like I said, you can buy it off Amazon. It's $5. I don't get any royalties from this. I don't even know Sandra, but I know she a real one and she gave some pretty good advice, and that's what I'm going to present to you guys today. Okay, so what is show, don't tell? At its core, show don't tell is about letting your readers experience the story rather than just being told what's happening. So think of it this way. If you are telling someone, then you are handing them a summary, while showing is actually putting them right inside the scene. One keeps readers at a distance, while the other pulls them in. And there are different ways that you can do this. Telling usually involves stating facts directly, while showing will often use action, dialogue, sensory details, and so on. So why does it matter? Because readers don't just want information. This isn't a textbook you're writing, you're crafting a story. They want to feel something. They want to connect with your work. So when you show rather than tell, you create this emotional connection that keeps your readers turning pages. It makes your writing more vivid, immersive, and most importantly, memorable. One of the biggest examples of an area where writers kind of default to telling is when they start talking about character emotions. It's really tempting to just write, she was nervous, and then go ahead and move on. But watch what happens when we show it instead. Her hands trembled as she reached for the door handle. Suddenly, the reader feels that nervousness too. Use body language, physical reactions, and internal thoughts to bring emotions to life. And the same principle applies when we talk about showing character. Instead of labeling your characters as brave or kind, let their actions prove it. What choices do they make under pressure? How do they treat others? Readers are smart. They'll pick up on who a character is through what they do, not what you tell them. Finally, you can also do this through showing your setting. When it comes to setting, sensory details are your best friend. So don't just describe what something looks like, but what does it sound like, smell like, feel like? Grounding your reader in a scene through the senses makes your world feel really real and lived in. Okay, so there is also a distinction of showing isn't always the best policy. Sometimes you need to tell. And so Sandra Girth points this out in her book, that telling has its place. There are moments when telling is actually the smarter choice. So transitions, minor background details, controlling the pacing of your story. These are all situations where telling gets the job done efficiently without slowing things down. And there often is this delicate balance between the two styles. As an author, you have that discretion to choose which works best at that point in time in your story. But just know there isn't like a set ratio of how much to use one versus the other, but the healthy balance between the two is what really sets you up for success. So let's talk about some of the most common telling mistakes, and we did kind of hit on a few already, but let's just go over these few here. So emotion labels like angry, sad, or happy, overusing adverbs like she said angrily, over-explaining what dialogue already makes clear, and these are the patterns to watch out for when you're revising your own work. And like I said, it's often really hard for us to take a step back from our own writing pieces. But I often suggest that once you've spent some time with your writing, maybe put it down for a few days and then go back to it, and you often get some clarity on when you were using telling too much, or when maybe you're overusing a little bit of show. Writing changes as we change as a society. So there used to be a time when using adverbs during dialogue tags or with dialogue tags was something that everybody was doing, but this is now something that we try to not do, and instead the reader should pick up the tone or inflection based on their own body language and what you're showing us as a scene. Okay, so how do you fix this in your own writing? You need to start by identifying the telling passages in your writing, and then ask yourself, what does this actually look like? What does it feel like, sound like? And then rewrite it using those concrete, specific details. And like I said, it takes practice, but it gets easier every single time you do it. And having someone else read your work too can also help you realize where you were leaning too much on telling and where you maybe need to inject some more showing. And finally, here are some exercises that you can do. I have a few sentences here that you can use to kind of practice and apply that showing technique. And these sentences are all obviously telling. And on this next slide, I'm going to show you has the actual examples of what you could have written for showing. You don't obviously have to write just exactly that, but I will show you that in just a second here and give you maybe a minute or two to look at this. All right, and if you need more time, just go ahead and pause the video here. And so here are, again, those examples of things that you could have written for showing instead of telling. These are not the only responses that you could have written. This is really, the world is your oyster. You could have literally written anything. But if you are looking for more specific examples, this can kind of show you exactly what that looks like. And again, pause the video here to take your time and really read these sentences. All right, and so now to wrap things up. Showing emotions through body language, show character personalities through action, show setting through senses, and remember that telling has its place too. These aren't just rules, these are the tools that will help you transform your writing and deepen your connection with your readers. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone else in the Writers Guild. Otherwise, thank you.